At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jack.
And I am Anthony C.A., and the program you are watching is On Point. On Point is our opinion political show here. I focus on Liberia, and we use this show to dissect, debate, analyze, and discuss the hard political issues trending in Liberia. The host of the show is here. He has returned on a little break. Welcome to the broadcast. If you are just joining us, we want to say welcome and welcome. Hit that share button. We have three major political stories to discuss today. And in today's edition, the gentleman present and seated to roll. Number one is the man joining us from the nation's capital, Jimmy Eastman. Jimmy, it's good to see you, brother. How's family?
Hey, Anthony, it's been good to be back on. Family is okay after Thanksgiving get-together. Giving thanks to our Creator for bringing us this far. I look forward to a very decent conversation with on the matters that affect our nation and how we can remedy, can we provide answers for the situation we have.
It's always good to see you, Jimmy. Also, Mr. Jerome Gerben is here. A sedition, unapologetic, unbending, unrelenting. He drinks from a Sycamorian cup. Let me see that cup. I don't like that cup because there's a Sycamorian juice in it. When you drink from that cup, it's like you put Liberia on the side and worship a man. It's good to see you. Welcome back, brother.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you for holding holding down the court. It was a great vacation, medical vacation, and I'm glad and pray with me. And I want to thank all of you who pray with me. Mr. Jimmy Eastman was actually a counsel. So everything is back to normal. We are glad to be here. But yes, as it relates to Liberia, we want to discuss issues. Obviously, it's our opinion, but usually based in fact. We like to talk about some numbers, some current events, and then we'd like to do some comparative analysis. This is where we are at this point, and today is no exception. So we are asking our friends to please share the button, press that button, share the show. We want you to make comments. It's interactive. We want you to call in if you have your own opinion. If you want to be a guest on the show, that's fine. Mr. CA can bring you on. If you are very comfortable in your skin and on your own topics, we'd be glad to discuss that too. So, Mr. CA, thank you very much for holding it down for the past 3 weeks. Glad to be back.
Thank you. And also we have with us Mr. Kalibu Gonglo. Mr. Gonglo, are you ready? Are you in, sir?
Are you hearing me?
We are hearing you. We just want you to elevate your voice a little more. We are hearing you. Welcome to the broadcast.
All right. Now, if you're hearing me, I'm going to come live because my computer has been giving me problems. So I'm switching from laptop to desktop.
Okay.
Are you hearing me better?
Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Good. All right. So this is my first time on the show. So I'm happy to share this platform with these distinguished colleagues who I've watched many times on different platforms. But Dennis talked to me this afternoon about the need to join this platform. So I'm happy to be here, and I hope we can discuss the issues, and we should base our discussion on facts, like Mr. Gilman said.
Thank you for joining us. Of course, the facts, and someone says the truth, and nothing but the truth. So, talking about the truth, things that happen in Liberia, three of them that we have decided to discuss today. Let me let you know President George Weah has made an unusual trip out of the country. We have one major question. Are we holding President Weah accountable accordingly on his 47 days unusual trip as a country? What does the trip say about how President Weah sees and takes our country? And how does this trip really put us as a people in the picture when it comes to accountability? The nation's money being used in a manner for that amount of days. We will discuss that. Also, the ruling CDC just had an unusual convention at which it elected Jefferson Koijee as its National Secretary General, among others, while President Weah stays out of the country. And finally, the man we all know to be PYJ, Senator of Nimba County, who was sanctioned by the U.S. government for political peddling, corruption, and you name it, is saying, hey, what sanction are you talking about? This is a political interest. So he's saying that pay to play that he's being accused of is what in Liberia we call politics is interest, and that is nothing illegal. We have the best minds there to help us discuss the three top major political issues. So let us go to issue number one. And gentlemen, I will put all the facts out there so that I can bring you in for us to start. Talking about President Weah trip, which is the first one we're going to discuss. We don't know how many persons on this trip. The amount being spent is also undisclosed. We do not know as a people, even though our money being used by people we elected. We don't know the total number of delegation. All right. And President Weah has made some revelations here. According to President Weah, his trip has been, he asked for the extension of his trip because of the Paris Peace Forum. And so the trip has been extended from November the 15th to November the 18th. And President Weah is also telling us he is a guest of honor by the FIFA. And so because his trip from Paris has been extended, his stay at the World Cup has also been extended from November the 18th to November the 30th. That's 12 days in Qatar. And the president says they're using the country's money. Are Liberians angry? And also, President Weah will be making a trip to the United States. The invitation sent by Joe Biden, the program starts on the 13th to the 15th. That's 2 days. But according to President Weah's itinerary, he will hit the United States on the 4th of December. So he will be in the United States from December the 4th to December the 12th. That 9 days total, he will be in America. Will he be chilling? Will he be having meetings, with business leaders and other political leaders? Do we know that? Why is he spending all that time, almost like 9 days before the time of the invitation that he's being invited for? Amidst all of these things, folks, we are asking the question, are Liberians holding President Weah accountable enough for a 45 days trip, undisclosed amount, undisclosed number of delegation? And many of you know the pedam associated with it. I understand there's a policy in Liberia that forbids any government official from traveling outside of the country for 7 days. So if that is true, and Kelabo is here to help us, then President Weah is in violation. Let me bring in the man, Jimmy Eastman. Jimmy, the president asked for extension. Based on focus on Liberia calculation, President Weah will be out of Liberia for 47 days. And everything being paid for by the Liberian people. What is your take?
I like what Comrade Gongolo said. Let's stick to the facts. Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's evaluate this from a legal standpoint. Mm-hmm. We admit that some situations arise where a prolonged absence of the president may lead to difficulties, and even in fact, we have to situations where you may even have to swear in the vice president. So from the beginning, typically, an absence is sent to the Senate, okay, or to the speaker, written in a formal request or notice of the travel. So the House and the Senate are involved in this decision, and they have to grant, that the president is able to leave at this time. So from there's no violation if this was done. Now, this prolonged stay, as long as the duties of the president can still be performed, whether he's in the country or not, we cannot say that he cannot perform his duties. Had it been a situation where the duties of the office of president could not be performed, have reason to raise alarm. So, given this backdrop, the president is gone for a long time, but as long as the country is functioning properly, he has the consent of the legislature to go, then all is well. Now let's come to the point of the finances. This is a cost on the Liberian government. What we should want is clarity from the finance minister. How much is being spent for this trip? Which budget it is coming? Is it coming out of the presidential budget, or is it coming out of other budget allotments? And we have a right to know. I think that is where the only problem of this whole trip I see, that the Liberian people are not clear on how much is being spent for this trip and where is it coming from. Other than that, I don't see any direct violation of any of our laws. There are times when you will compromise a law given the situation, but with the consent of the legislature, then there's no real harm done here.
And Jimmy, before I can get to your colleagues here, President Weah is in Qatar. If our calculation is correct, President Weah will be in Qatar for about 12 days. Let me look at the numbers here again. Yes, President Weah will be in Qatar for about 12 days. So the president of Liberia said he's been invited by FIFA as a guest of honor. His country is not playing. He is the only president who is in Qatar, and his country is not represented. All other presidents who have their country participating in the World Cup, they are not there. So where is this invitation that has been sent to our president for which he has to stay there for 12 days? Do we deserve the right as a people to see that invitation? What is so important about this invitation that he has to stay there for 12 days?
And this is what I'm saying, Anthony. That is why we have three branches of government as a balance. So that is, one is getting too heavy. If the executive is going out of bounds, if they are violating the Constitution, or there's something we need to do to address the actions of the executive, that's why you have the judiciary. That's why you have the legislative branch. If they are not performing their duties as such, those are the people who are representing us. They're the people who are supposed to put this in check. The questions you are asking, these are the questions that the legislature need to ask. So if they're not doing their job and asking these questions, then we can't hold the executive responsible for anything, because the body that is responsible to check them has not given us any reason to do such.
So then, where is President Weah himself? The responsibility that he took oath for is to serve the Liberian people the representation at the World Cup is not that he representing Liberia. Is he representing Liberia at the World Cup or not, Jimmy? Jimmy, do you know if he's representing Liberia at the World Cup or representing himself?
Anywhere the president of Liberia goes, he's representing Liberia. And that's a no. Whether it is the informal or formal, wherever he is, he is clothed with the flag. Again, if this is not in our interest, why hasn't the legislature brought this to our knowledge? Why haven't they said anything? Why? I mean, this is public sentiment, but we have to use the organs we have to serve our people. And if these organs are not functioning, then it is improper to say that the executive is doing something wrong when the judiciary nor the legislature have said that he's done anything wrong.
Jimmy, what you are saying is that only the legislature is in the right place in terms of governance to tell us if President Weah is in error or not. That is specific. That is why I'm getting from
you. The judiciary, either one of them. The Supreme Court can weigh in when it comes to
what's about we as citizens who have knowledge of the laws of Liberia, even if we're not speaking about laws, looking at the responsibility of the president. I ask you the question, is the president representing Liberia at the World Cup or is he representing himself?
We as citizens have representatives that's supposed to be fighting on asking these questions for us.
All right.
If we don't get this, what I'm saying in essence, I understand where you're saying, Anthony. But if the organs, the institutions that we have created to have a balanced democracy, if they are not functioning properly, if they are kowtowing to the executive, then this is why we have the situation.
Thank you. Kelebo, Mr. Gonglo, I come to you. Let's start from whether or not President Weah is representing Liberia at the World Cup, because he's there for 12 days. He has a country to run. And Jimmy is saying, well, he left somebody in charge. The government is running. So as a president, he does not necessarily have to be there. He left people in charge. You think Jimmy has a point here?
Yeah, I think basically, let me say this. I tend to agree with some of the points Jimmy made. Personally, I'm not a big believer in the culture of the president leaving the country and having somebody as acting chair of the cabinet and all of you. I just believe that wherever the president goes, in a modern society, the president should be able to conduct the affairs of the state with technology, with instruction. He can be anywhere. He can give instruction to the defense minister. He can give instruction to the minister of justice. There are institutions of governance that the president can manage anywhere. Because even when the minister of a ministry or the head of any public entity travels, those who live in charge at the ministry, your deputies, your assistant, still do communicate with you, consult with you on any major decision. That this decision has been made and we wanted to have your input. So I believe we can do that. But I don't see that for me personally as a major issue in terms of not being in control. There are other bread and butter issues that are troubling which actually I would say is the basis of concern. For example, across government, professionals have not been paid for 2 months. So the question for Liberia and for George Weah or for the CDC government is it in the best interest of the state to spend millions of dollars for the president to travel when you have civil servants, people who provide services for government are going without pay? It's in the best interest of the state. I think that question has not been answered. Even if it has been done, I think the answer is wrongly. In my judgment, there was no need for the president to take that number of entourage and that number of days, given the enormity of the challenge that his government is facing with money issue. And I think it was a wrong judgment. But
Mr.
after
Gonglo,
wrong judgment, the question is, has George Weah made any good judgment since he came to power? Certainly not. So it's just a pattern of, I would say, a lightening of wrong decision from 2018 up to now. It's a culture. So he's doing something, he's not doing anything different other than what he's always done. Wrong decisions.
Mr. Gonglo, I like the fact that you brought in conditions on the ground. The government is struggling to pay citizens, but I'm not sure if the government struggle to raise the money for the president 47 days.
So that's a wrong judgment. They did not.
The president, according to Eugene Nambu and Samuel Twe, daily per diem is over 2,000 United States dollars. The president gets that every day on the 47 days travel. And his employees have not taken pay. Some of them are protesting. The other day, Mr. Twe was summoned by the judiciary branch of government for 2 months of pay that he could not come up with. So let's look at the bigger picture here. I saw a Nigerian comedian literally mocking our president, that this man is over there because his son is playing for another country. He is the father of his nation. His son can't play for his country. He's there at the World Cup to cheer the player of another country. Even the country he's cheering for, president, not there. But he's there. He's spending 12 days while his citizens are home trying to get a little salary. They can't get it. Does it speak to how President Weah does not take Liberians serious and the presidency serious, or what? What does it say?
I think, and so I think that's the point I made earlier. That since 2018, all we've seen from President Weah is nothing but a laundry list of wrong decisions. He is taking Liberia in the wrong direction continuously. And I think this is just an example. He's not deviated from what he's been doing since 2018. So I listened to that comedian myself. Some of the questions he raised, the issue of your son playing for another country, for me, that's not an issue. It's a political question. His son has his own judgment. He has his own will. I mean, he has his own decision to make. He can choose where he wants to be, where his loyalty lies. That does not question his father loyalty also. So I don't want to even dwell on that issue. But just the fact that you will have this challenge on hand. You have the security sector, they are struggling to the police. Now the public prosecutor. I happen to know the president of the Association of Public Prosecutor, Councilor Adolphus Kamna. He's my high school classmate from 10th grade to 12th grade. I mean, this brother, it took him the courage to sign a release suspending the appearance of all government lawyers across Liberia. You know what it means? Even for a day, for people not to go to court, you are violating thousands and thousands of people's rights. Criminals are going unattended. Police is making arrests that no prosecutor is there to tell the police this should be the right charge. The challenges facing the government is overwhelming. For President Weah to look at that and say, I'm going to take 47 days vacation trip. I call that vacation trip. It is just a pattern of wrong decision he has been making. But this one, I think it will cause in 2023. Because you know what? I don't see, from all of the sources I've spoken to, I don't see the possibility of the government raising the money to make salary current before December. I don't see that.
Thank you. Let me bring in Mr. Goodman. I don't want to spin. I want nothing and nothing but the fact. 47 days. You have been in a society called America. You follow politics very well. You are familiar What happened to your boy Ted Cruz in Texas? When that snowstorm hit Texas, when he was trying to travel to Cancun, he was held accountable by the media, by the people of Texas, his own political party. He apologized, and he was just away for a day. Comparing that to what our president is doing, just because he wants to watch his son, is President Weah taking his job serious here with this behavior?
Well, thank you, Mr. C. Obviously, Dr. George Manuel Weah, the iconic president of the Republic of Liberia, is traveling, and his travel has yielded so much dividend. First of all, I was just looking at the cost of 30-second ad at the World Cup. It's about $5.7 million for 30 seconds. President Weah, Timothy Weah, and Liberia have been mentioned on this particular platform, the World Cup, almost every other hour. That is an advertisement that nobody can buy. When you are talking about attracting investors, how do you get to an investment firm? How do you attract investors when you are at an event that 2.5 billion people are watching? My friend, this alone is a trip that I would tell the president to remain until the entire trip, until the entire finals is done. The man he has a standing invitation as the only Ballon d'Or winner, Africa's best, Euro's best, world best. He is a sports ambassador for FIFA. When he was in Brazil, you saw what happened when he walked in. They don't call him President Weah, they call him King George. For Liberia to be on this stage with this much free time, that's advertisement that we could not buy. You saw the president was projected around the globe. When his son was playing, he was cheering. And they said, that is the president of the Republic of Liberia. Anybody wants to be him. Now let's go to the trip, 47 days. The president made it clear after he made the plea to both houses. He says, I have 5 trips to make. I can go to Morocco and return to Liberia, and then fly right back to Egypt and come back to Liberia, go to Paris and fly back to Liberia, go to Qatar, fly back to Liberia, go to the United States, and then fly back to Liberia. He said it would be costly. So I, as the commander-in-chief with a hardship in our country, I would like to combine all 5 to save us money. To me, that is a man who is financially, fiscally sound, that knows that this country is in hardship. There is no reason to fly to Egypt, fly back to Liberia, fly back to Morocco, fly back to Qatar, fly back to France, fly to Qatar, fly to the United States. So, my friend, let's stick with the facts here. This president is doing the best he can. And what he has done, we should commend the president for condensing 5 trips into one. And you talk about 47 days. The last time.
Mr. Gilman, if I may.
Yes.
We should commend the president for condensing the trip. And you are saying it's a smart travel. I think you borrowed that from Eugene Namwe. And that it saves the country a good amount of money. Do we even know how much the entire trip costs? Your finance minister does not have the courage and the slightest semblance of transparency in his voice before we're talking about his blood to tell us how much the president trip has cost or is costing the country. Do you even know that? So 2 things I'm asking you. Does Liberia and Liberians, does Liberia deserve to know how much the trip is costing us? Do we deserve to see the invitation from this FIFA to our president? Do we deserve to see it?
First of all, Liberians know how much the president's travel budget is. If you can remember, the Unity Party under Ellen Johnson's lead, they has $37.4 million annual travel budget. This president had cut it down to about $22 million. That's from the fiscal year from January to December. This is my own fiscal policy here. Here, they give me $10,000 for travel expenses for the year. That's for gas, meal, hotel. Once it has been approved by my board of directors here, I have from October 1 to September 30th to do that. Whenever I travel to New York or California, all my receipts are put together. When I come, I turn it into my office manager, and they do the accounting, and they subtract it from a line item. When it comes to July, they call me and say, your line item have been spent up to 90%.
Mr. Gilman, I'm not going to allow you to confuse us. You did two good things just now. Hold on, Mr. Gilman. You did two good things just now. You called the figure for your travel.
No.
Also
the budget for the whole year, the president got $22 million for the whole year for travel.
Yes, but what I'm asking you for this particular, for the 7 days, do we deserve to know how much that is costing the country?
Oh, yes, you will know when he comes back. He will turn all his receipts, how much he spent for meal, how much he spent for gas, if he spent money for gas, how much for security, all of those things, how much he paid for gratuity, all of those things, the receipt will be turned in, and then it will be calculated. And then
that has never happened before. So why should we believe it now? And this is why you are saying it's not coming from the office of the president.
Well, this is how we run budget. This is what I'm telling you, because I know I was there. You were here when they passed the budget. The annual budget for Liberia was passed, and they said we have, I think, $22 or $24 million for the president, for the office of the presidential affairs. That entails the president travels and all of those things. Now he has 12 months to expend that money. So when he comes back from the vacation, he will come and say, this is how much I spent on gratuity. This is how much I spent on hotel. This is how much I spent on meal. And then they say, well, this is what it costs. So you cannot project how much the president is going to spend in advance.
Thank you.
And Sonny, if I may just interject.
Yes, please. Please.
I think from the onset, we said we should talk, whatever we're going to say should be based on facts, and maybe I would say tradition, because tradition can also, not necessarily facts, but because it's a tradition, people do it, whether it's a wrong thing. Gilman must be truthful. When I listen to Gilman, it shows that Gilman has limited understanding of the governance process in Liberia. This is not how it works in Liberia, Gilman. In the corporate war in the United States, what you're trying to do is to juxtapose what you know of here to say that's what happened there. When president or ministers travel, there is no office where they come with receipt and say, yeah, the receipt here. Yeah, no. When they sign you your travel budget and they approve and say for this trip, that money is released to you. Okay? You go there, it's based on UNDP or the World Bank travel rate. Okay? If they say, and each country has different travel rate. If you're traveling to the United States and somebody traveling to Ghana, you people can be the same minister, but you will have different rate because the living condition in the country is not the same, right? So when you get that money and you come, you spend it, you decide to go stay with a family person, they're not going to ask you, say, what is the money that you're paying, the hotel? No. You can go stay with a friend or maybe in a cheaper hotel, maybe in a motel. It's your own security you're risking, okay? They will do that. So President Weah can even be over there on this trip, and he's not going to come back to report to who? What are you talking? So don't mislead the public. What I can say to you, though, what President Weah has been doing, and I like to be very honest and truthful in this discussion, is just what other presidents before him have done. They take money from the national cover, travel, come, they take any number of people with them on a trip. Even President Salih, she traveled to the United Nations with somebody who was not even working for government, somebody who was not even a government contractor. She traveled to Brussels with private citizens, a government expense. That culture of corruption It's endemic in the Liberian public service. And it starts in the office of the presidency, right? So I think we should discuss this based on what is the truth. President Weah is not going to report what is good for him, because he said he's going to be a different president. He was bringing change to government, which he has failed to bring. Is for him to disclose how much he's spending, how much the government is spending. And I bet he's not going to do it. Samatua is not going to do it. You know the reason? Because if they put in $1 million for the president, maybe the finance ministry, they put in 1.2 million and give him 1 million. So
Thank
that
you.
culture of secrecy and corruption is endemic in the public service. That's what we need to change.
That's true. That's true. And Mr. Galabo Gonglo, thank you for meeting. I think Mr. Gilman was off point. I think he took a partisan line here. That is not being on point. This is what I want to look at now, gentlemen, for the final discussion on this particular topic. Jimmy have been making this point that, look, we elected legislators to check on the other branches. That's the checks and balances. And in as much as they are either in agreement with the president and whatever he's doing, well, so be it. I happen to disagree. It is true we elected them for them to provide the checks and balances on our behalf. But when they fail, do we not, as citizens, have responsibilities?
Oh, yes.
Well, so let me ask the question this way. We as citizens, have we registered, to the greater extent, given the gravity of this, have we, let's say religious leaders, are they saying anything? Or do they feel okay with it? Even political parties, the party CDC, is CDC okay with it? Kelebu said this may cost the CDC this election because they demonstrate a sheer level of insensitivity on the part of the president. People have not taken pay. You're taking millions out of the country with your wife to go watch your son and other people. So looking at that, do we as a people share any responsibility of holding the president accountable? Media people, and our governmental institutions as well, civil servant, or civil society organization, all of us. Do we share any level? Do we have any role to play in holding our leaders accountable when the elected one fail us?
Definitely. And Anthony, I think you hit the hammer on the nail. If you're going to fix a system, you have to fix it wholesomely. Okay. If you want to correct the president or his office, the functions of the president, if that is going awry, but if you don't fix also the legislature and the judiciary, you still will have a broken system. You have to wholesomely hold accountable each one of these branches. So right now, legally, the president's visit is there's nothing wrong with it. Legally, we can have our sentiments and our opinions, but we'll get to that. But there's nothing legally wrong with it. What is wrong is, why doesn't the legislature know? Why did they approve the visit? First of all, do they know how much it's going to cost us? Have they weighed the paying of salaries, the different deficiencies we have? Have they considered all of that before approving it? You see, if these things are not working for us, and the only other decision we have to do is go to the ballot box or vote protest. We have to make these organs functional, and that is where the problem is. All these questions that are being asked, it should have been asked by the legislature, letting us know exactly how much is being spent and what was the reason to give allowance for such a visit when we couldn't afford it. But we elect people. The next day we see them jumping over to another party, and then that defeats the whole purpose of a democracy. We are not practicing real democracy. We are only giving this taking part in this more of a kingship instead of everybody maintaining the integrity of their organization. They are rather giving up their power, their rights to the executive. So it's not going to work. No matter who you put there, if these organs are not working properly, it will have the same problem again and again and again.
And
So
you continue to emphasize the government as an institution, or some branches of the government, right, playing their role. I am also asking, as citizens, do we share any role, or do we have any role to play in holding all our leaders accountable? The president here in particular, as citizens, I mean, you have not taken pay for 2 months. Your president is gone with millions of dollars, I would say, because they don't want to tell us. So it has to be in millions. Do we share a responsibility? When do we really advocate for ourselves here? We all know the leaders have let us down, the judiciary branch of government, I mean, the legislative branch of government in particular. So that's it. We wait for election that we don't know what the outcome is going to be. Mr. Gonglo, maybe, no, let me go back to Jerome. Yeah, because Jerome, this is your government. Can the party CDC, is it CDC agreement 100%? Yet the last time we heard Mobile Monu speak was in secret, a leak. So these people actually have their opposition to some of these decisions that has been made, but they will not say it. So the question is, where do we stand? Do we stand on the side of the country, or do we stand on the side of the president or our political leaders? When do we stand for the country for once as a people? Where is your party standing here?
Well, as you know, every political party has our internal wrangling. In the United States, I'm a registered Republican, so I know what we are talking about. Some of you have your own political affiliation. We have our own internal wrangling. But when we get to our national convention, when it comes to the national party platform, we are together. We are united, and we fight for the common good. Same thing here. The CDC government is one of the most pro-poor government that have ever come out of Liberia since 1822. That's 200 years. Now let me look at some of the benefits of this particular trip. In Morocco, okay, where the president went, he was rubbing elbow, I would say, in Liberia with 500 world leaders, advocates, civil servants, and decision makers. We're talking about influencers, people who influence world events. 500. That is an event that you want your president to attend. While he was there, we got $50 million investment package. $50 million. We got 25 scholarships for advanced studies for Liberian students. We have the Port Authority that is now being partnered with IGS to come and expand Liberia ports. These are major investment. And the whole South African regime, the whole South of Africa, are now going to have flights from Liberia to Cape Verde, to all the other South African countries. It is amazing what this president has done for this country on this particular trip. You may say it's partisan. The reason that some of us are asking some of you guys is that you are talking from emotion. The last time Honorable Coluba was on one of our sister stations, and he said he's certain that the president took $250 million US in duffel bags to spend. Another one came and said he is sure that it took $50 million. So that tells me that even the opposition has no idea what is going on here. But what I can state categorically is that no matter where you go in the world, every budget operates the same. You have a line item. The president has a line item that was approved by the legislature. That's the law. He has $22 million to spend on travel and his office expenses. At the end of the year, we want to know how that money was spent. So this is how it works. Now, my brother, Mr. Gonglo, talked about tradition. Yes, but we are not on tradition. We are CDC. We don't go by tradition. We put it in the budget. It was approved. Your man, Dara Dillon, was there. He looked through it. They approved it. The president, this is your budget. Use it as a fee, please, to enhance the image and the circumstances of the country. And that is why he's doing. So this president stands with the Liberian people, as he has always done, and he will always stand with the Liberian people on the PAPD.
All right.
Yeah, and so then let's go back to the question, because Jerome did not answer the question.
No, he will not answer any question here.
Is a citizen doing enough on the question of the president travel? I will say yes. Part of what we're doing tonight is part of the advocacy that citizens across Liberia have been doing. I've listened to different platforms, I've listened to different radio stations. I mean, Liberians have been speaking, actually, just like they've spoken on many other issues. I think the challenge we have a legislature historically been nothing but an extension of the executive mansion. So traditionally, what has happened is the president just write, not just president, we are presidents before him. They just send a one page to the legislature, because that's what the Constitution provides for, that you should inform the legislature that of your travel. Apparently, we probably need to have some statute to clarify the article in the Constitution, because they just send a letter. They don't state the implication of the trip, whether how much it's going to cost. It's not stated in the president letter that is on social media. Okay, he just asks for how many days you're going to be out and how it's extended. Even on the question of so citizens have done well, but it was left with the legislature to ask a hard question. How is the trip being financed? When I listened to the legislature debating the extension of the president trip, and they didn't debate that, but it was in the same section where the finance minister appeared. I listened to some of that. I was so embarrassed as a Liberian that they were arguing after the fact, after they've granted the president travel unconditional, giving him to travel without any inquiry. Now they started raising a so-called bread and butter issue. But civil servants are not taking pay. How is it? But you should have asked the president. You're asking us to give you 47 days to be out of the country. Here is our information. Even staff at the legislature have not taken pay. How are they going to pay? How are they going to get paid? I mean, they could have asked even that basic question to the office of the president. They didn't do that, but they granted it. And they were asking the finance minister after they have granted that. And I just thought that was so disappointing. And I was embarrassed when I listened to that. But the thing I want to clarify from Jerome before Jerome mislead the public is, Jerome, in any country, Mr. Gilman, the ambassador, the emissary of different countries are the marketing agent for any government. Going to Qatar, going to Morocco, going to New York or DC does not give you anything. If you are doing the wrong thing in Liberia, the American ambassador, the EU mission, the different embassies, Western, the donor community, the United Nations, they are reporting back to the head office on what you're doing, whether you're making progress, you're not making progress. Typical example, the late John McAfoley. He scored major success in Tanzania without taking a single loan, without traveling to any Western capital, and even rejecting a concession loan from China to build a port, to build new railroad. And he said, no, there are money in Tanzania, I can do it. I'm just going to fight corruption. And he did that successfully. When I listened to Malawian president when you're giving the tribute, he said when they say Africa can develop until you take loan from the World Bank, they didn't know John McAfoley was an African. He did that. He did not go anywhere to meet any investor, so-called investor. Your marketing agent at the embassy in your country, if you're doing the best thing, they're going to tell companies in that country, they're going to tell their government that come here. We want to be part of this success, because governments, just the individual, want to be part of success. If we were doing the right thing in Liberia, the donor support, the money will be flowing. They will even come just. But all these things you hear about World Bank, Africa, they are indebting our children. They're taking the money that they will not even start paying interest on. They will not even start paying against the principal. only to benefit them politically and passing the responsibility to children who are not yet born. I know this for fact because the records are there. The latest agriculture loan from African Development Bank, go and read it. They got a portion grant, they got a portion loan, but the part that is grant, if you go in the detail, you see how it will be spent. Mostly on consultancy, on feasibility study. The loan part goes to government official pocket, and our children would pay. Those who are not yet born, not even those who are born yet. So I think we should be clear on this thing. Your president traveling will not bring investors. He just taking the country in the wrong direction as he has been doing since 2018.
Thank you, gentlemen. We have to leave it there. We have two major other topics to discuss. We'll take a short break. When we come back, folks, we'll be looking at CDC had an unusual convention. No one heard of it until it started. At that convention, they elected Mobile Molu for chairman and a Jefferson Koijee for secretary general. They will be relying on him to do the writing and to be speaking the English. Folks, they also price the positions to the highest bidders. This is the pro-poll government doing this to run for the office of chairman, about 2,500. Even for you to be chaplain, you got to pay 1,000 United States dollars. The Masses People's Party. And the man is Prince Johnson. He's saying, hey, this thing you call play to pay. Look, it's a political interest. Is he right? We'll be right back.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
And so, folks, I will go first on this one. And I want us to combine these two topics. The two topics. I think we are smart enough to do so. So this, because the CDC is tied into Prince Johnson. Prince Johnson now is the new political godfather of President Weah and the father of the CDC. I think he pulls CDC by the nose politically. He has them on dry up. But the main issue here is the CDC had a convention. They announced it to the public after it started. Another thing the CDC has done is that the price for these positions, and this is so hard for many of you to read, but I'll read it for you here. For the position of chairman, 2,500. Vice chairman for administration, 1,500. And the list goes on and on. This is CDC borrowing from the playbook of the Unity Party. When the last time Unity Party had a convention, the CDC were all over it. Whoa. Now Unity Party, all the 12 years they spent in power, they're now trying to squeeze money out of poor people. This is democracy for sale. That's what Sedition said. And we joined them because that was not right. And so I will start with you. At the position, I mean, it's over already. They sold them to the highest bidder. So, talk to me.
Who are you referring
Anthony.
to?
Something happening? I'm talking to Jerome. This is a party that just had a special convention.
Oh, okay, great. There's a feedback of, I think maybe from Mr. Gongolo's end. Well, good.
I don't have.
Mr. CA.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the church,
Mm-hmm.
people pay tithe because you got to keep the lights on. You got to send out mail. You got to pay staff. You got to do all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Election is very costly. You coming to the party and say, I want to be Secretary General, or I want to be representative from District 1, District 2, District 3, and you want the party to take on the responsibility to sponsor you, to run campaign. I think Mr. Gonglo is here. He will tell you his brother is running, and he's been part of the election there. From what I understand, based on what my cousin Daniel Chair told me when he ran for office in Pastor, you need a minimum $75,000 to $125,000 to win a senatorial seat in a county. If somebody is coming to you and you are asking them for $2,500 to spend $100,000 on them, it's a spit in a bucket. So yes, you can't just walk because we say we are pro-poor. So anybody from the street just walk up and say, I want to run. You got to engage the media. We talk about print, audio, and visual media. We got to do the whole 9 yards. You have to do the ground game. You're talking about an expenditure that just exceeds the mind. For someone to say $2,000 as a contribution, which is a pitiful amount of money for running a campaign, I think it is actually a gift. And I think it's very, very, very reasonable.
This is just registration fee for candidates, and it's non-refundable. So somebody running for the office of chairman has to pay $2,500 to be a candidate. So what's about my brother in Grant have a job, or if he's working with the government, his pay is beyond 2 months. How does he come up with $2,500 to contest? That person has been denied his right to participate because of the amount being charged. And you think that's okay?
Oh, he could also run as an independent. He doesn't have to go to the CDC. He can run as an independent and win. So I mean,
it seems to be you're missing this thing.
No,
I'm talking about CDC just completed a convention.
That's correct. That's correct. People, that tells you, and Mr. Gonglo is here. I know this is hurting.
So, but then how are you talking about independent? How can a person run as independent in the party convention to be chairman?
Well, listen, I know Mr. Gonglo would not want to hear this. It's kind of hurting him because, according to Mr. Gonglo and the opposition, everybody should be running away from CDC. 2023 is going to be a disaster. People should be, but you are saying here, contrary to that, people are actually flocking to the CDC for a position. They want to be Secretary General. They want to be even just a car carrier. So what we are saying here is whatever. It's not cheap being a member of a political party, and especially when you want to subscribe to the position of Secretary General, whatever it is. These positions are heavyweight position in the mighty CDC, and they come with a small token. $1,500, $2,000. These are people who are not poor. People don't run for office. I'm going to tell you that. So don't let anybody fool you. Mr. Gonglo is over here. He can tell you they're sitting on millions and they want to be president. A regular guy from Nima County or Grand Bassa County will not run for president, knowing the kind of money it takes. Gonglo, he will back me up on this. It costs a lot of money to run for any office, whether it's internal or external, and he will tell you. His brother is raising millions to unseat President Weah. It is not cheap. So, you want to run for president, you want to run for chairman. It comes with a small token for us. That's a small token. And I don't think that's much money, Mr.
So even the person to offer prayer for the party should come up with $1,000 United States dollars to contest.
Listen, our God is not a cheap God. God is a man who blesses people. If you are coming to my church, I gotta keep the lights on. I got even the wafer that you eat, the communion, we gotta buy it. So you gotta pay. God is not a cheap. God is not free. Anybody who told you that God is free is lying. Yes.
I told you at church, boy, and you know about the widow's mite, but the way you're looking at it now, it's like you're going Trump.
Anthony, let me come in.
Please, bit. Jimmy.
I'd like to chime in here. Mm-hmm. You see, the CDC began as a grassroots party, and this is why it gained so much popularity, because they looked at the CDC representing people who have been marginalized, people who did not have the same opportunities. So it became very popular among the grassroots people. But this is what is going on is a classic example what tends to happen. This is going toward elitism. Some past regimes were accused of neglecting the masses, and only certain people enjoying the benefits, the elites. This is how these things develop, by now keeping people away from political aspirations by setting high participation rates is a way to this elitism begins. This is the beginning of making people feel outside the party, because if I cannot run because I don't have money, then I may feel left out. This is how our political system gets manipulated by money. It's not only in Liberia; it's everywhere. I see this as a even though I know they require money to run the CDC, they need money to run it. But when you start putting these kind of limitations on people who want to run for a position, I think you're heading toward elitism. You're going to repeat the same things the people of the past did. We always do it. I saw after 1980, it was a time for soldier men, the soldier woman born, Native woman born soldier. It was a time for the people to come and enjoy the benefits of their country. But what did it happen? What happened later on? It became only a few started benefiting. This is how it all starts. We definitely should have, the CDC should have kept that thing open for anybody who wants to run. That way they will include the masses in the ability to run for office. I see us tending toward another elitism. We're just moving from one group to another. But this is how this elitist ideas begin to take momentum in our political system. That is what's happening with the CDC today.
And Mr. Gonglo, talking about the money, I also want you to chime in on the election of Mr. Jefferson Koijee. We know we Liberians, myself included, have serious hard time with English. Jefferson Koijee is one person. He does not have any good writing ability. Some people might think I'm picking on this man. Look, these things that we are doing it to the country. We are setting bad examples. There are many good Liberians who do well when it comes to public speaking, who do well when it comes to writing. I'm sure there are some in the CDC. For the CDC to think that it's in its best interest and that it's setting a good example in the country as the government in power to elect a Jefferson Koijee to be the chief scribe, the writer, and almost like the spokesman for the party. This is the best the CDC can do, and it has made the decision because Jefferson Koijee is a confidant of the president. He's an executive now, and they raise the price so that all of smart young people in CDC will not be able to come and compete. I mean, this is what it has come to. I want you to speak to that.
Well, before I speak, I would just like to engage Mr. Gamer a little bit. Mr. Gamer, have you seen, as a member of CDC, do you have CDC constitution with you?
Not with me here.
But have you read the constitution of CDC?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so my next question to you is, in 2005, the convention that elected the chairperson of CDC and the other executive officers, how much did they pay? Do you remember, or were you not a member then?
Oh no, I was a member of the CDC before it was even founded.
Yeah. So how much you guys charge for participating in the convention?
I don't know. You're talking about almost 20 years ago. So I cannot remember.
Okay, let's fast forward. In 2011,
I was not at that level.
In 2011, I mean, do you know how much they charge?
That's what I'm saying. I was not part of the secretariat, so I was not part. I don't know.
But today it was open. I'm assuming just what. So even 2011 was open. The point out, because I can't call the exact figure. I was in Liberia in 2005. I was in Liberia in 2011. I I was in Liberia in 2017. The point I'm trying to make to you is this convention that they just held, there's something strange about it. Like Mr. Ishmael said, elitism. That's a creep institution. And it was just about preventing a competition. They didn't want a competition. They wanted a rubber stamp protege that would just protect certain individual currently in the CDC government. They've seen the dissatisfaction across the party. They've seen on Facebook there are others aggrieved citizens who have come and said other stuff. They didn't want an open process. So that's why they have to even set a price tag high as a means of preventing people who they were not sure of their loyalty anymore, but who could also challenge the process and win. In 2000, all these guys who took over were beggars in 2011, 2017. They could not have paid even $1,000 for registration, let alone even $300. Okay? They didn't charge how much. Now, with being a governing party, they are charging that much. It speaks volume. You should question that. So do not mislead the public. There's something bigger than why they charge this time. There's something bigger why they have to have convention overnight. Okay? We all know Modwa Molu is not in love relationship with President Weah. But here is what I've heard from reliable sources within the party. And I believe my source is correct. That Modwa Molu has a firm grip on the party. So he and President Weah had agreement. Weah doesn't want him there. He said, well, we can elect you as standard bearer still, and I will stay as chairman, but he can have Jefferson Koijee, who is his loyalist, to sit there to checkmate Modwa Molu if he wants to go raw. Okay? That's the whole deal they made. That's how Jefferson Koijee came. Okay? They would not have taken two persons from Lofa to be in the chairman and secretary general. But that compromise was made because Jefferson Koijee is an unrepentant loyalist to Georgia. That's a deal they made. That's my information. Okay? But on the larger question, I don't intend to criticize CDC or other political parties because I do know that the way parties are run and managed in Africa is not the best way probably across the world. For you, you say you sing the Constitution, but and so then if we pick any sedition, even county coordinator in Liberia, not just CDC, you pick any party, whether it's UPE, ask them, have you seen your party Constitution? There are chances that out of the 15 counties, you might have maybe 2 or 0 that have seen it. Because the legal instrument of these political parties are usually kept secret. But by those guys who want to maintain power, it is secret across Africa. We tested this in research in Kenya, and it was proven that only people in Nairobi, and for that matter, only tiny segment of the people knew what their rights and obligations were under their party constitution. What is happening in Liberia is just part of the process. And for me, I'm ashamed that CDC, that started out as a grassroots party, has been taken to the extreme beyond elitism. And they're doing that because they have failed. They failed their partisans. They told them they were going to give them the goodies when they win. They won the election and they have failed them. They are walking in the streets of Monrovia, no job. They have no innovation. You don't need to put these people in government to say you have job. You could provide them better skill training, which I made a proposal when I was a contractor with a weapon project that was situated at Ministry of Finance. I made a proposal to someone that mattered. Now look, there are two things, even in the United States, the guys who do skill training, they make more money. The skill training we currently have here at MVTC and across Liberia is not up to standard. It's not level 1 technician training. we need to take our curriculum up. You do that so a level 1 technician, auto mechanic in Liberia can be hired in the United States with his certificate.
Yeah, but Mr.
Well,
Gongo,
the other way around. They didn't do it.
Mr. Gongo, with all due respect, I think Mr. Gongo, your elder brother, worked in the previous government as Attorney General, Solicitor General, works at Labor, where all the ideas you were talking about, creating jobs and innovation, all of that, he works for the previous most corrupt government, like John Molu said, most corrupt, 10 times corrupt than the previous government. And you didn't come up with either one of the ideas, you didn't implement anything. And then you want us to sit here now and listen to you that you have been baptized, the Gongo name have been baptized, and now you are a new man out of a new cocoon. My friend,
and so if I can quickly respond to that, I don't want to monopolize this talk. Jim, here is what I was saying, Mr. Gilman. For your information, I work for the Ministry of Labor. I work under Minister Wu, Minister Gongo, Minister Solonte. I work as a technician. I was the Assistant Minister for Research and Statistics, but not just in that era. I supervised the National Bureau of Employment. I did all that stuff. Okay. Where the war been brought in, and it's not particularly about even this government. The war been brought in about $4 million project with Ministry of Youth and Sports. That money, that project is still running today.
Gentlemen, I think we are going off track a little bit.
We're off track. You are right, but you just brought
the question is, let's come back to the discussion because we bring.
Actually, it's something that we work on to standardize until I left government. That process was ongoing. And my understanding, other sector resisted that their curriculum remain the same. So
thank you.
They're where they are. So
thank you. And gentlemen, in order not to waste time, I think this convention by CDC is nothing but an embarrassment. It's unusual. CDC usually will go as far as announcing whatever event they will be having way ahead of time. At that convention, they said the elected president, we had to be their standing bearer when he was out of the country. Every convention that I know that produced President Weah, he was there. But this time, he chose a football game over a party's convention.
Well, they could have postponed the convention.
Yeah, he was.
We are not in 28. We are not in 2023.
He was not there. All those that got elected, they were handpicked. Now, there were some counties officials who were informed the second day of the convention. They couldn't come. Yeah. They decided that thing long before time. They raised the price so that citizens who are not in government, not working, wouldn't have access to get money so that they would not compete. This is the disgrace. CDC should be an example, just as we an example from all other political parties. The democratic process that we have, some people suffer for it. Many were denied in the past to participate, to put a price tag on it. When you call yourself a pro-poor party, it speaks volume. It was done in secrecy. There are many Liberians who might be hearing for a CDC convention at this time. Come to think about it. When CDC, any groundbreaking ceremony for President Weah will hear it, or there will be groundbreaking in Negro Town for Douala Market. Even spoke part to dedicate a swimming pool for kids will hear the information way ahead of time. This is a party that is running a government national convention. It was done in secrecy. Folks in CDC talked to me. They said, this is the disgrace. We have never seen
Mr. German knew about that.
All right. There are some citizens who are in, who are, Mr. Gilman here does not know that there was a convention coming. I doubt he knew.
Listen.
Did you know?
Listen to this.
Did you know?
Listen, you may have heard this thing about the smoke-filled room in Chicago, the Democratic Party having their conventions, and all of these things are things that happen. Okay? They are things that happen. There are circumstances that make these things happen. When you're talking about the wrangling and the arm twisting and all of that, it happened. This is the way it happened. This is not a child's play.
I agree with you. I agree with Mr. German. That's why President Weah did not want Molba Molu. Molba Molu said, if you don't want me, I will cause havoc. And compromise to reach for Jefferson Koijee should be the Secretary General, and on that account, he's going to allow Modwa Molu. President Weah said you could not sit under the gavel at a convention for Modwa Molu to be elected.
Let Jimmy get the final word on it. And Jimmy, there's a reason why I'm bringing in the factor of what I believe is let us always pick our best in every institution, even in every family. Let us pick our best. That is the best way we can project ourselves to our friends outside that we are serious people. All right. No malice against Jefferson Koijee. He is not fit to be a Secretary General of a national political party in Liberia. He has no understanding of any history before talking about leadership. But in Liberia, everything flies. So people would think it's okay. You have the last word on this one. What does it say about the political institution CDC to elect a Koijee as a Secretary General at this time in our country's history?
Well, we are going to see a lot emerging out of this thing. This is how it starts. This is only the beginning. It takes a while before this elitism really sets in the party. Mm-hmm. You know, what we're going to see that there are going to be certain people that will emerge as Donians. They will control the politics, and they will be the chief people in the government. If the CDC wins this coming election, mm-hmm. you're going to see the establishment of certain magnates of CDC. They will be very powerful, all powerful, and be running the government. That's what you're about to see. And when you started seeing these people emerge, when people started taking notice that these people have established themselves as the magnates, the Donians of the CDC, there will be reaction to that, and we're going to see another party emerge out of that. It was split. It was faction. Whenever you're not fair, whenever it's not open and fair, and the people have to take another course of action, that's when you see these groups begin to get splintered. From political history, tell you will see a splinter in the group sooner or later, or a complete eventual disintegration of the group. That is the beginning.
And Mr. Gonglo, we're going to start with you on our final topic here. Your county senator, Prince Johnson, has opened up. He's saying, hey, what are you people talking about? Your sanction me because I'm involved with the political process. I mean, he said, this is when people say politics is interest, this is what it is. I have interest in an election. People are coming to me to give them my support. Of course, I can't give my support to you free. You have to give me something back. He said this is done across the world. So for me to be sanctioned because I am involved in the politics of today and I'm demanding my interest for those who have interest in me politically, the message is just preposterous. Does Mr. Johnson have a point? Politics is interest. You want him to show your hand up in Nima? He will recommend to you who to employ. Does he have a point? Or is this completely illegal?
Well, you know, if I were advising Senator Johnson, I mean, I wouldn't even make a public comment on this matter. Here is my reason. You know, I'm reminded in 2003, President Taylor took an advertisement page in the New York Times and the Washington Post also, and he wrote. We had lobbyists in the U.S. and he wrote, and he basically admitted to what his role in Sierra Leone was, that he was not alone in Sierra Leone. There were other African leaders or West African leaders who were part of the war in Sierra Leone. Mm-hmm. He accused even generals in Nigeria as having part to play. That because he was a small boy, so they taking him to the gallows. When I read that, I said, he's admitting it to the allegation
Mhm.
that he's saying he's in Sierra Leone, but there are many there too. He's not alone. No, why take advertisement supplement in Washington D.C. or Washington Post and New York Times just to indict yourself? If I was Senator Johnson, even if I had reason to dispute this, the one I would say would not be to say, "Oh, well, I did this, but that's how business is done." I wouldn't say that. For me, if I were advising, I wouldn't say that. Because even if that is the way things are done, all those who have done that all of the time have not been caught or have not, no issue has been raised. Even if you did it before, but now they raise specific issue, you can say, "Oh, it's true, I did it." So then what's the argument?
And the way you pull it, I like that. This is an indirect admittance to what he's been accused and sanctioned for. And in this pay-to-play politics, uh, it takes two, in some instances three,
Tango.
for that trade to be possible. Now that Prince Johnson is admitting, he also confirming that, well, others did it along with me. Does that mean those he done this political business with should also fear that similar sanction might come their way? And what impact will this sanction thing have on the 2023 election? As you well know, the U.S. ambassador, reiterated that, look, we said it, I'm going to say it again. Anybody doing business with those who have been sanctioned, the rigs sanctioning themselves. Weah will want Prince Johnson endorsement, just as any other person will want Prince Johnson endorsement who's running for president. Finally, for you there, Mr. Gonlo.
Yeah. So just like I said, really, I don't know who are his advisors at this point in time. I wouldn't have made that public statement if I were advising. I would have said, you know what, the best public statement you can make is to ask for proof, but to come and say, "Oh, I did it. It's true." But in fact, that's how it's done. That's a tradition. Now, like to your point, it takes two to tango. If you are admitting to now doing this, the onus would now be on you to say who you did it with. Because first you were in denial. Now you come and say, "Oh, I did it," but that's how it's done. So if I were advising, I would have said, do not make public statement on this. Remain quiet. And then journalists asking you, your statement should be, bring the proof. I will not want to
Mr. Gilman, do you agree with Gonglo here that the way Prince Johnson pulled it by saying, well, this is what in Liberia we call politics is interest. When you get in the political process, there's an exchange. Exchanges go on for your benefit and the benefit of the one who is engaging you. So what you people talking about? If this is an admittance, do you think Prince Johnson is putting his business partner in bad book here that will fear them to not do business with him?
No, actually, I think Prince Johnson hit the nail right on the head. It is actually factual. He may have been reading American politics. And I will give you a typical example, and I want my brother Gonglo and everybody else who listen to me, because I have been doing this for so long when it comes to national, international politics. And I'll give you a typical example. It's all over the place, but I will pick Joe Manchin, the senator, the Democratic senator from West Virginia. This is the man, when you talk about pay to play, he is the giant. He is the King Kong of the United States Senate. And let me tell you, when Joe Biden did submit his bill, the poverty reduction for $550 billion, it was Joe Manchin that said he was not going to support it. And within the time that he said that, guess what? He received almost $25 million from, and he found this now. This is where it came from. It came from the giants, financial giant, American Express, Goldman and Sachs, Aerospace, Lockheed Martin, health insurance companies like United Health, Blue Cross Blue Shields, the gas companies. You name it, it goes on. And it lists how much they pay for him to vote against this particular package. Because President Biden was coming up with things that would have affected their interest. So they spend money and they secure Joe Manchin opposition, held up the bill. Not only did he do that, but he played both sides of the bill. He went and installed the bill, and then he extracted concession from Joe Biden. So he was taking from this other end, and then he was taking from the other end. That is the classical thing to play. So Prince Johnson knows exactly what he's talking about. If the United States is going to tell me that I'm peddling my influence, we got examples all over the place. He knows that.
May I call you to a point here? So
Yes.
It's more than likely there are two things you're talking about. In your mentioned case, you are talking about legislating. All
Yes.
right.
Yes.
He's a legislator and he's in the Senate, right? And he disagree with the volume of requests Biden is making. And he's trying to say, no, we have to call them down. All right. So that we can raise that the country, goes into inflation. That is his argument. So at the end of the day, they were able to agree on an amount for whatever proposal Joe Biden was sending. That is different from Prince Johnson.
No.
Hold on, let me let my point. Prince Johnson is taking cash. He's taking financial benefits from those he's dealing with. Money exchanging hands here, jobs exchanging hands here. Now, let me lead the way you, then you can come in to finish your point there. Sam Wallow just posted something that reminded me about what happened to Rob Blagojevich, former governor of the state of Illinois. All right. So when Obama got elected as president, when his Senate seat became vacant, according to the state law, I think he as governor needed to appoint somebody. So people started lobbying. People expressed interest, and he was caught on tape saying that he will not give such a lucrative job to anybody for free. That was all he said. He has been serving a 25 years sentence today. That is what we call pay to play. He wanted some money in exchange for the job. Prince Johnson has taken money in exchange for his votes. It's different. Do you not see it that way?
No, not at all. Because Joe Manchin cast a vote to shield the insurance industry, the financial industry, and he got money from them. It's listed in his report how much he got from them. Not only that, but he negotiated with Joe Biden to get the coal industry, because he was talking Joe Biden, his whole administration is based on clean energy. He is saying that we will give the coal industry in West Virginia a pass. Okay, so not only did he take money from all the lobbying firm and all these agencies, he took their money, then turned around, went to Joe Biden and got stuff from Joe Biden, and he said he saved over 250,000 jobs. Same difference, just that in this country we say, strength or power might make right. When you are stronger than somebody and you are mightier than somebody, you can impose upon them what you want to impose upon them. The United States knows exactly what they are.
And I have to go to Jimmy to get the final words. Yeah, then we'll go to our callers. I don't know why they are not calling. And so, with all you said, and sorry for me bringing a yes or no question to you. So, what Prince Johnson has been doing, do you not see any danger to our democracy? Yes or no?
No. I would say no. If I may come in, I would say come in. Just there's the fact that politics is interest. And I think maybe the way we do it is just more crude, where actually money may exchange hands. But people form coalitions. People offer their support for various reasons. I think during the Obama-Clinton era, there was an agreement reached between the two camps. I mean, maybe money didn't exchange hands, but certain things are more valuable than money. Okay, so this is not abnormal in politics.
Okay.
But I'm a little bit surprised at what Prince Johnson is doing now, because when I was amongst those guys, the last thing he said he wanted to do was become president. He didn't want to. But things change as now he's more of a seeking his own interest. But at that time, he was more seeking the avenging the people of Nima County. So things have changed. The way he used to tell his boys, his soldiers, that if you steal, you could get killed, because part of what you're doing here is not for money. And that's the kind of philosophy he used to preach back then. But things have changed. What I believe, that what's going on with Prince Johnson, it is not because of his play-to-play. There are other things underneath those sanctions that are not being mentioned. And Prince Johnson is well aware of it. He's just playing the game right now. But he's perfectly correct. People do things for their own interests. But it's just that they don't exchange money. But I've even heard in our politics, in our political arena, money has actually changed hands amongst presidential candidates before, aspiring. And
Thank you.
Take their little money and you go sit and it was.
So listen, I agree with some of the statements they made, and we know this is how politics, even around the world, that's how it's done. But see, here is the thing. My thing, the argument I was making was, it's just common sense. If you say to me, hey, you enter over there, the way you enter the building is the wrong way. And I know I've been entering the building that way. I know others have been entering the building that way. They enter the building with a back, not with a front. And you say, the best I can do in my defense is either to ask you for evidence, because I know entering the building is in secrecy. I will say, where is your evidence? But if I come and say, oh, but yeah, it's true. I enter the building with my bike. But that's how everybody enters the building.
Mr. Gonglo, let get a more practical here. You're being so philosophical here. So now let's look at the Liberian political space. We have Cummings, we have your brother Gonglo, we have Weah, who else do we have? That's it. So
we have Ben Pham.
All right. I'm not sure he's ready yet. So now there are some folks in Cummings strategy room that are saying, is it possible we can buy workers out? So just for the sake of a discussion, if the Cummings team goes and buys Walker out and Walker agrees to retire with that package, is that criminality? Is it now to play? Is that good politics?
You know, I wouldn't want to really comment on, this is counterfactual kind of argument. It has not happened. No data, no facts. So I'm just commenting.
But they were in Ghana the other time. The secret.
Well, I'm not sure if the meeting in Ghana was based on whether trying to work together or buying somebody out. I don't know the facts, because it was a private meeting. It was not for, of course, public figures involved. There was so many different.
Okay. Why if your Mr. Bwaka comes to Mr. Gonglo and say, "Hey, Gonglo GM brother, I think you make an excellent candidate. I want to retire. If you give me $2 million right now, I'm out of the race. I think I will endorse you." Will it be bad for politics? Will it be illegal?
No. First of all, I don't believe Ambassador Bwaka would do that. Give him this experience and vast experience in government. I don't think he would do that. And second, Councillor Gonglo, based on his record, he doesn't even have that type of money to begin with. And even secondly, the logic, the way it's life.
All right. So let me put it to you that way. If Weah comes to Cummings, you answer my question. If Weah comes to Cummings, say, my man, all I want here is protection. I'm not sure I'm feeding the love right now. If you guarantee me protection, CDC will join your team, will endorse you, will campaign for you, give you my protection, will give you all the money you need to run the campaign. Good politics for Liberia?
But that's how even Weah got elected in 2017 when he promised Akara's Gray. I remember that day I was in Monrovia for Akara's Gray to hold press conference and say that the presidency is about protecting the Salih family, the legacy of the Salih. I was sitting there in my office. I was like, wow. Akara's Gray from 2005, he struggled against the UP. In 2017, he's saying his entire struggle. This is a guy who refused. I'm not sure he voted for anything in the legislature on us when he was elected our representative for Unity Party. Anything they wanted to pass, well, the Unity Party national budget that he was paid from, he never voted for it.
Yeah, he's on record. He said it on this platform. He never voted for anything.
But
The only
then
thing he voted for was the bill, the Code of Conduct of 2014.
yeah, but then in 2017, he someone said that he said now their election is about protecting the Salih because Waka will not protect the Salih. I was like, what? What changed? Which gospel this guy got converted to? You know? So those are things I believe those were backdoor deal that made Akara's Gray to come publicly to say such a thing. Because I'm sure President Salih might have said to Weah, you know what? Can you control that Akara's Gray ball? I don't trust. And probably Weah turned to Akara's Gray and say, you know what? Go make public statement so she'll know that I control you. You know, and that prompted him to speak.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll do our closing statement. You saw me. I had the phone number on the screen throughout for folks to call. They don't want to call him because
folks are making a lot of comments, except that
the comments are way too many, and we have
probably all sorts of way because of his position.
Yes, so a short break, and we will be right back for some
comments. Very popular.
All right, gentlemen, let me read a few of the comments. Let me read a few, and then we will be getting closing comment from us here. Sam Waller writes, "It's wrong and illegal. Do you agree?" Is the question he's asking. Jimmy Eastman, Jimmy, you here and you're writing. So I will leave you. You're trying to cheat, yeah, Jimmy. Mampu GMB wouldn't even do that, Mr. CA. Mankra is speaking for GMB. Sam Waller again, will you advise your brother to be bought out or to be someone, to buy someone out? I don't know, maybe asking you, Mr. Gunglo. From Woolwork, Wolf, sorry, Darling writes, money, this exchange hands between Clinton and Obama. Obama team agreed to pay off Clinton's campaign debt in exchange for Clinton to campaign for Obama in 2012.
That's correct.
Wow. That might be true. Sam Waller, no one is supposed to achieve an economic benefit from serving in public office, Jimmy. Sam Waller is very busy here. People need to understand why United States is saying on this pay to play. From Sam again, what is the comparison, Jerome? That is not similar. And he's saying the same thing that I'm saying. From Florence Kingsley, tell us about it, my dear. This is one of the enemies of Liberia. He does this because he is being paid by good money to carry on like this. Mr. Gibbon, this person is accusing you that you're being paid good money for your position in this discussion. Harris saying advisable, right? I think I should agree with you, Edward Horr. There is no need to grant audience to a less conscious guy like Jerome, who does not care about rights and wrongs only because he's benefiting at the detriment of the poor people. Jerome is being accused of benefiting from the national coffer. I don't know how the people have come to this conclusion, but Jerome will defend himself. Yeah, that's not my job. he does not have a point. That is why former Illinois Governor Pete, I think he's Blagojevich, went to prison attempting to get something of value for an elected seat. But yeah, from Augusta writes, you guys are doing great service to the voiceless Liberians who cannot be on forum like this. I honestly applaud your efforts. We also applaud you for following, because if you're not here, we will not be a cutting edge claiming CDC is a nuisance failure. This over 5 million, that means the over 5 million the government spend on the country's trip. I don't know. By President Weah, I think it means the country's trip. I don't know. Where are the deliverables? I think Jerome has been able to name some deliverables. They talk about some deliverables that are coming from the Arab boys. We have not seen them. They talk about some deliverables that are coming from Bali Island. We have not seen them. They talk us about another deliverable, Coastal Highway. We have not seen that one as well. So deliverable part, we can see. Ruth Kate Bader, I learned that Finance Minister visited Lofa to do what there. Yeah, he was invited there as a guest speaker. I also heard that on his way there was an accident. He and his wife and security detail got into an accident. I hope they are okay there. Like here from Addison Wallow, soccer is not leadership. Weah needs to step down. The job too big for him. Timothy Weah is an American citizen. No investor coming to the country. More comments here. Let's hear from Cristiano King. So in our country, because up not in power, no patriotism again. Now I know that the up was just UP. Yeah, that up, right? UP. I'm saying up. Okay, the UP was just wasting our money to all the supporters around the world. That's why they always accuse everyone that stands for the truth of being paid agent. This one sounds like a defense for my man, Jerome Gibman. From Balayan. Are you people sedition trying to rationalize the money we have spent on this fun trip? Really? We're being accused of trying to rationalize the whole thing. We are dissecting the issue. From Powerhouse, then Mr. Gibman, you are my friend only in America because your affiliation with the Republican Party. We are Republicans, period. Oh, you seen your Republican friend there?
That's right.
Into your age. Honestly, again, Weah has done nothing. No receipts, side checks, and jolly. The other world leaders laughing at him. I think that person to write. From Aaron Manor. Is this the progressive Aaron Manor? Lone Star is not in the World Cup. We are as a president of a country and cannot function on private engagement yet receive popular resources to watch World Cup games. I think Mr. Manor is disgusted by the behavior from the president. From Rachel Hammer, old man like you in your sister, you ever heard any president who left his country for 2 months? You visiting in America and talking nonsense? You see President Joe Biden at the World Cup? Some people are getting frustrated. From Jerome, good friend Swab Mampu. Josh Weah and his people don't even understand gratuity. When have that government ever given account of anything? Tapes, goods given to either one of them being accounted for. Gentlemen, too many comments. This is why I didn't want to start. Some people will feel that I didn't read their comments. But we have to go. Let's get the closing here. We will start with the man from the nation's capital. Everyone will get a last word for today because he's just coming back from a medical vacation. Let's start with you, Jimmy. Your closing.
Okay, there are so many things we have to fix to get our country back on track. And I do not favor just pointing to one person because I know there all parts of the government has to work for the government to work. By changing the president and you have not changed the people, to change the mindset, change the way people think and to do things, you haven't changed anything. And I find it very curious that all the political aspirants, and I know some of them personally, like Gonglo, your brother, is my comrade. We revered him even while we were in college. I know Cummings very, very well from CDC. But there's no central value or virtue I see them preaching. And of course, nobody said corruption. Yeah, but what gives people the inclination to steal, to be corrupt? It's a value system. So you have to teach value before you can teach, before people can embrace that, and then that will just take their actions. And until we start looking at re-examining our values and imparting a sense of pride in work and pride in what we do to our youth, so that they will become the leaders that we want them to. We're not going to do anything. It will be the same thing. We have to go to the root of the problem, the very core, the very root, and that is our ethics and our values. We have to point out how really compromised we are, how our beliefs, our very core beliefs and morals are compromised, and then condemn that, and then point out what is needed to be done or to be embraced before we can become the people we really want to be. But simply pointing this and pointing that, you will keep pointing. Let's go to the root. Let's go to the problem. And the problem is morals and our code of life.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Mr. Gonglo?
Well, firstly, thank you for the audience. Thank you for the opportunity to appear on this platform for the first time. But here's what I would say. It has been a stimulating discussion to share this platform with Mr. Eastman and Mr. Gilman, the CDC, the unapologetic sedition. But point well made, I think Weah trip and the cost to the Liberian nation, I think it was just part of the colossal, the laundry list of wrong decisions President Weah has been making since 2018, at which he had not made this decision. I personally don't wish for his downfall, but my hearts go out to the civil servant who have worked. I have professional colleagues. I've been able to send $60 to a professional colleague. And he was saying to me, I work. When I take pay, I don't need help. But I don't have I need $60 to put food on the table of my kids. So it's saddening that you have a government that pride itself as a proper government to take such a decision. Okay. But on a serious note, on the question of the culture of corruption in the country, I will say this. I personally believe that when God created all of us, he put in us a soul, and our soul know the right and the wrong. All it takes is the environment for our soul to follow the right direction. That's why even when each person is trying to do the wrong thing, that inner voice is telling you that what you're doing is what you want to do is wrong. Again, listen, you start. So if we have a leader today, just as President Weah started dancing booga dance, and everybody wants to dance booga dance, if we have a leader today that will fight corruption, our nation will reduce corruption. If we have a leader today that can audit past government and even have some ministers or prized possessions seized and their family become poor, just as they have impoverished others, our country will make a progress. We do not need to have any school to teach moral or values. We just need our leaders in public space to add moral, and our people will follow. Set example. That's what we need. Thank you.
All right. Before Mr. Jimmy can close the show on the issue of this trip If anyone have doubted that President Weah does not take the Liberian people serious, except that he takes us for a joke, and he cares less about his responsibility as president, this is it. This is that one demonstration of President Weah insensitivity to this country and its people. What kind of president whose nation is not participating in the World Cup will go to the World Cup and stay there for 12 days using the country money? He is the only president in the world who is at the World Cup when his country is not participating. He's there because his son. He told us that he's being invited as a guest of honor by FIFA, but no one has been able to see that particular invitation. You represent a country, you're being invited, you have to disclose the invitation to the people. Now, if we ask for that invitation, they say we want to go to the Freedom of Information Act. It's the same thing they tell us when we want to see President Weah assets. Where is the transparency? Now, people have not been paid. The finance minister cannot tell how much is being spent because they know the money that the president is spending on this trade is way too much money that can pay a good number of people who have not been paid for months and even protesting for pay. You don't treat people like that. So President Weah is wrong. He has embarrassed our country with this behavior. And I just hope Liberians will raise their voices and hold this person accountable. We don't have a legislature that will act. He lied about this trade. He lied that his trade was extended to France, and that's what led to the extension at the World Cup. That is a lie. So when it also comes to this issue about his party convention, the CDC convention was done in secrecy. They created an elite system, denying other post-seditionists the opportunity to participate in the democratic process. Some of them were the teachers. They have opted for the opportunity to participate in the process that will maybe lead them to becoming leaders. They were denied on grants of money. They selected their own people and they just elected them in the middle of the night. They announced to the public this convention on day 2 of the convention. This is despicable to even go and elect a Jefferson Koijee, who is not one of our best, to be the face of a national political party. It tells us that this political party, CDC, is only after doing just about anything that pleases Weah and not anything that elevates the politics of our country before even talking about governance. This is sad. This is not about being hateful. Why would you not want the best of your country to be your face, to be your voice, so that you can be respected, so that you can be proud of the institution you're part of? CDC is doing the opposite, and I don't think even seditionists are happy with this. Finally, Prince Johnson. This guy has been cashing it out. Many of you have said, well, this is politics. Prince Johnson said politics is interest. So I will tell Weah, I'm not going to support you. Weah will come with maybe 2 million, and then I will support him, and then he will become president. What happens is that if Weah wins again, the suffering will continue. The Liberian people will pay the price. So Prince Johnson has chosen to protect a man over even his Nimbayans, who he said he's representing at the legislature. And some people tell me, well, this is politics, this is how it's done. When people engage in political dealings, it should be for the benefit of the people and not for the benefit of few individuals, and not do it at the detriment of the poor masses. This is sad. This is illegal. Taking money to elect somebody who is not competent for the job, taking money to put somebody in power who will not be up to the task, the people suffer. Everything is on the increase in Liberia today because of the decisions that our leaders continue to make. If anybody will not be brave enough to say it so loudly, I will do it. Because as a citizen of that country, we are the only ones who have that responsibility to hold our leaders accountable. We don't have a legislature. We don't have a judiciary that will do that. If you are looking for anybody to be your voice to speak for you, you will not get one. because there is no one. You have yourself. So speak now or forever hold your peace. Jerome Goodman is with his cup, the Sidician Sacomoran cup. Let me see that cup. Sacomoran juice is in there. Please close us, sir, and sing your hallelujah now.
Thank you very much. As usual, I'm the most objective person out here. I tell it as it is. When my party is doing wrong, I tell my party. My party is doing right, I tell my party. Mr. Gongolo, I want you to extend my greeting to your brother. He did something for my family that he even doesn't know. My younger brother, who is now the vice president at University of Grand Bassa University, got his first civil servant job at Labor. And he praises your brother for being the most honest person he ever worked with. But when Eddie
That's how we need young Bo. Oh. Come from Sidisha.
You see, I must
stop that. The man is closing.
So here we are.
The message, but it's actually the round. Everywhere Councilor Gongo goes in Liberia.
Actually,
you are taking the juice of what he was saying away from your brother. Somebody should say it, not you, Mr. Gongo. Stop. Let the man continue. We're closing.
One of the things I will ask Mr. Gongo, and I was surprised that he never brought it up. The Liberia's problem that we talk about corruption and everything else is commensurate and actually began. It has its roots, its genesis in our unitary system. And I respect Mr. Gonglo as an astute lawyer. I thought on most of his speeches he was spoken about a unitary system that makes the president the all-powerful emperor in the country. For us to deal with a unitary system, but nobody has ever talked about
that he's ready to change the presidency.
Let's see. But the people everybody wants that, because when I spoke to Mr. Councilor Bronsky, I said, Councilor Bronsky, are you going to dismantle the unitary system? He said, I will keep it until I get there, then I will dismantle it. So that tells me he had no interest in it. You talk about corruption. I want to know what is it in us, is in our DNAs as Liberian. And recently, when Mary Broad was doing her round for the LEC, they were going, and I was surprised that they had churches that were stealing power. They had government officials that were stealing power. They had the Speaker of the House stealing power. Congressmen and women stealing power. Regular Liberians stealing power. So when you are talking about corruption, people don't just go to government and get corrupt. People are corrupt before they go into government when they get the opportunity and then expand upon it. When you're talking about what is the president, where is the dividend? There's a company out of Egypt called Samco, SAMCO. They have agreed to build a highway from Greenville to Buchanan and from Zwedru to Greenville. I mean, you are talking about major concessions here. So when you are talking about me, my hometown, Buchanan, will be connected now to Greenville, and Greenville is now going to be connected to Zwedru. If that is not major concession, then I don't know what to tell you. But Mr. CA, I want to thank you very much, and I want to say a prayer here for the finance minister and his family. Hopefully they are okay. We heard it was a nasty accident, and they were taken to the hospital. All politics aside, we don't want anybody, we don't pray harm on anybody. When we disagree on ideas, on policy, but when it comes to the family, we all have to unite and pray, and hopefully everything is okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. Mr. Gonglo, we hopefully that you will be a staple on here. We like your combative stand. We understand what you do. And let's continue to discuss. Mr. Ismail, as always, thank you very much. Mr. C, you are the best, the bulldog. Thank you very much for holding it down. And let's keep it going, because by doing this, we don't want anybody going into the bushes anymore. There will be no more butuo. There will be no more whatever. We leave it here where we discuss our issues. We disagree. When it's over with, it's over with. We have Liberia to fight for. So thank you very much. Next week, same time, we'll be here. As always, I'm on point, and the three guys you're looking at were all off point. Thank you very much, and God bless.
We are Liberian. Liberia is our home.